One name that was part of KTIB in the 1950s was Lanny Borne. Let's catch up with him on then AM 630's Formative Years. Lanny Borne, how are you today?
Fine, William. How are you?
Well, let's start from the beginning. I take it you are from our area originally?
Yes, I am from Thibodaux, born and raised in Thibodaux.
Okay. And did you also go to Thibodaux High?
Went to Thibodaux High and then attended Nichols State University.
What was your degree there?
I didn't get a degree.
Oh, okay.
I went ahead and went to work instead.
Okay. Well, how did you get linked up with KTIB?
Well, during the 50s and when I was in high school, I had several part-time jobs. And one of the jobs was being a janitor. And I came into the station, and the cleanup guy had finished high school and went on into the Air Force, so I took his place. And I started off cleaning up at the station. And then from there, I went into broadcasting at the station. Mm-hmm. And the man who really got me started into broadcasting was Leroy Martin. Mm-hmm. I'd do his road show for him on a Saturday afternoon after I cleaned up.
Wow.
So I had a double role. I was janitor and announcer and DJ.
Wow. And how long did you stay here at the station?
I must have stayed about 2 years, off and on. They would call me to fill in at different times when someone was sick or someone had to go out of town or vacation time. And it was about 2 years.
Mm-hmm. Well, you just mentioned Leroy Martin. By far, he's probably one of the most dynamic personalities you ever want to meet.
Oh, definitely so. He had one great show for a long, long time. And Leroy, as you know, is a musician. And he'd get ready to play music on a Saturday night. And he'd have to sign his show off at 5. Mm-hmm. And then the road show would come on from 5 to 6. So Leroy was getting ready to go out to play music and getting dressed and doing what he had to do. So I'd take his show for him. And some of it was segue. But then I started announcing. And then he said, hey, you've got it. So then I got licensed and went on with the broadcasting.
If my memory's right at the time, was the studios over on top of the Daily Comet building?
That's where they were. That's right.
Okay. Now, I also like to talk about, did you get to know the owner, Mr. Block, pretty well?
Oh, yeah, I knew Mr. Block. Mm-hmm. Sure. Oh, yeah. You see, I'd been around the station for a couple of years prior to that, just doing odds and ends for him and running errands and helping him out the Fireman's Fair for the remotes and those things. And remotes from the Woodland of the World. On Sundays, I'd help the announcer with that and several different things I'd do. So they knew me. Mm-hmm. And I had my foot in the door.
Right.
Wasn't a big problem.
Mm-hmm. Now, you also mentioned the Fireman's Fair. One gentleman who I believe was also part of KTIB staff, I think he was an engineer, but he was also a good fireman's historian, Lee Martin.
Lee Martin, that's right. He was our engineer. Mm-hmm. And we'd do the Fireman's Fair interviews or remotes, whatever you want to call them, and I'd have to run the tapes back to the station. These were done on an old Ampex tape recorder. I think it was Ampex or Apex, I don't know. Anyway, that's besides the point. I'd run the tapes back to the station and they'd play them. And we had one remote that we do from the Woodland of the World, a teenage dance, every Sunday. And Nolan Falgood Jr. would do that remote.
Wow. I'd also like to ask you about another person who's really an institution in radio, both here in Thibodaux and for a while at KHOM, and then came back. We all know her from Dialogue, Marie Bergeron.
Oh, definitely so. I mean, Marie is an icon here at the station.
Oh, yeah.
She helped me in many, many ways.
Mm-hmm.
I love Marie. She's one of my best buddies.
I'd also like to ask you about a gentleman who I believe was station manager at the time, and he later became owner after Mr. Block, Raymond Sadie.
Yeah, oh yeah, Ray. In fact, when I got on the road show, Ray says, oh, no way, no way. And then after a while, he says, hey, man, maybe we have something here. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, Ray's a wonderful guy. Mm-hmm. Got along well with him.
Okay. Also, did your brother Dan follow you here?
Dan followed me because his interest in radio naturally grew because of me being on the air. And so he'd imitate me on the tape recorder at home and all that good stuff. And it just went on and on and on. And then he became an announcer or a DJ here, and then he moved on to TV after that.
Mm-hmm. And your years, well, let me ask you the next question. So when was your last year here?
I'd say I was here, my last year might have been in late 59 or something of that nature.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, what have you done since then?
Oh, I've done various things, William. I've spent some time in the banking business and the building business and insurance. So I'm retired now with several interests in several income, producing properties. So that's about it.
Mm-hmm. I bet you it doesn't seem like it's been some 40 years since you've been around at the station, huh?
No, it hadn't. Things have changed. The board's changed. Everything's changed because when we do the show, I'd have to bring up the transmitter in the morning and all that stuff when I'd come in here and just get everything on air, shut everything down at night, and everything has changed. It's really remarkable the technology that's available today to different aspects of broadcasting.
And also not to mention when you were here that I think until about 86, KTIB was also a daytime-only station.
Oh, definitely, it was. When I was here, it was a daytime station. That was it.
Also, by the way, I believe there was another gentleman here at the time who was an engineer, Sam Eaton.
Sam Eaton was, yeah. Sam was here. Sam came on board, I think, when I was just about to leave. There was another engineer here at one time, too, who was station manager prior to Sadie, was Don Gatz. And then prior to Don was Al Benson. Al opened the station in the 50s, mid-50s, early mid-50s.
Right. Well, it's good to know that even though you're a little bit removed from the station, you sound like you still have a lot of fond memories of being here.
Oh, definitely. So, in fact, I still have my license.
Wow.
I don't know if it's any good, but it said it's a lifetime license, so I just hang on to it.
Wow. Well, listen, we appreciate your time, and before we head out, is there anything you'd like to say to our listeners?
Just tell everybody to keep on listening. This is really a good station, and you're going to enjoy the company of the employees.
Lanny Borne, another memorable name in KTIB's history.